the darkest times in your life, but sometimes you gotta do that. I was fucked up. I mean, I hit rock bottom, but I make no excuses. My behavior on that video is inexcusable. I take full responsibility for my actions in that video. I'm disgusted. I was disgusted then when I did it, I'm disgusted now. I went and I sought out professional help. I had to go into therapy and go into rehab. Had to ask God for his mercy and grace. I'm so sorry. But I'm committed to be a better man each and every day. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm truly sorry.
And I've heard him say it before, part of what makes somebody a genius is knowing that they don't know.
That's
Agreed.
True. Or hiring the people that know more than you.
Yeah. So you're right in that, right? There has to be this God complex that comes with that.
Mm-hmm.
At some point, you need to know your fucking self when you are in no shape or condition to call shots in your own fucking best interest. Like it's too much at stake at this level. There's too many people involved at this level. It's your legacy on the line. You have let too many people down. And when I talk about being a lying sack of shit, before we even get to the lies told on Instagram pertaining to the case, I'm talking about the fucking lie of black excellence.
Mm-hmm.
Mm. It's a few of you niggas moseying around out here under the good name of black excellence, and you niggas are living like pieces of shit. Mm-hmm. This ain't 20 to 30 years ago. Hey, nigga, you not white. You can't do what them white niggas do and say, hey, I'm checking into rehab and all will be well.
Nope, it doesn't work anymore.
You not white, and this ain't 20 and 30 fucking years ago. Back to Kendrick's point with the ayahuasca. It's the point. You niggas need to be stripped of all of this shit that y'all on. I'm talking about the vices. I'm talking about the pills and vices, include these young girls. Every time I start talking about niggas and the young girls, everybody tell me to shut the fuck up out there. But it says something. You niggas that can't keep your hands off of young bitches and y'all claim to be that nigga running around. Don't tell me that you that nigga and you can't get a girl that's above 22 and 23 and do something outside and manipulate these chicks into whatever web of cockamamie bullshit you got going on. Therapy's not enough now. Before I started that motherfucking State of the Culture job, me and Puff had like a heart-to-heart where he looked me in my eyes and said, yo, I heard a lot of stories about you, and I hear that you are a lunatic. And here, we appreciate the creative part of being a lunatic. So if you want to create in that fashion, you can. All I'm telling you is don't throw anything and don't hit anybody, and you'll be fine. And boy, I felt so at home hearing that. But also in hearing that, it led me to believe that he understood the importance of not hitting people. Because that's important as you run a business and build a business. We're starting with the news that CNN broke last week where they obtained hotel footage of Puff violently, graphically stalking and attacking Cassie. If that other angle come out, maybe kidnapping as well. But when it turned the corner, we don't get to see. But you ran a long way down that hallway, and if you dragged her even 4 more feet,
yeah,
we now include kidnapping. That shit was disgusting, what we all had to witness. That shit was almost unbearable to watch. I'm certain that that was triggering for a lot of people.
Absolutely.
A lot of people that saw it. And that was Friday.
Friday.
Yes.
Mhm.
I assumed that he would go and just hide somewhere. But why would you do that when you are just a glutton for attention? So he pops right back out. Talk about tone deaf. Talk about inability to read a room. Where are the fucking publicists? Where's anybody in this moment? But he pops back out with this half-hearted bullshit apology that was like, it's almost offensive. It was like a slap in the face, that apology.
I didn't even watch it. I don't need to hear from him.
I mean, I watched it because it was quick. It wasn't even, he didn't even try to put some sincerity into this thing. Friday, everybody here was in a good mood, good vibes. And it was our Friday weekend episode. We normally try to keep things, I prefer to try to keep things light for the weekend episodes. And that CNN Puff story broke as we were recording.
Literally.
And while we did touch on it, when I listened back, I didn't feel like enough time was devoted to just how much of a fucking lunatic that nigga looked like and what that means industry-wide for all parties involved. I think this broadcast is too big and comes with a great responsibility in matters like this. And I know that a lot of the music industry listens to this podcast. And I don't think this is the last of it, nor do I think that he is the only one. So at any point, we want to start having some uncomfortable conversations. Not only am I down for it, but I'm down to initiate it. Because this shit is a mess out here. And he looks like a fucking nut. He looks like a complete
monster.
Just a complete evil piece of shit. What I saw on that video, as horrific as it was, lends a lot of credence to anything horrific I've ever heard.
Yep.
And that's the uncomfortable spot. Well, it's all uncomfortable, let me be clear. But maybe he was unaware of some of the things that were out there about him, that real niggas is just running around saying, nah, shit sounds so crazy. When you hear about people blowing up cars, it sounds like some movie shit. I need footage, I need something. When you start hearing about some of the other things we've heard about, I think that video allows for everything to be back on the table. Anything that we've ever heard about Kim Porter, may she rest in peace, is back on the table. The rumors about Al B. Shore are back on the table. All of the violent stories that niggas refuse to believe because of who he is and what he has meant to the culture. After seeing that, after seeing him run down that long hallway in a towel, I've dissected that video plenty. And this is coming from somebody that doesn't typically look at things on the internet that'll make my stomach turn that way. But I thought it was important. To run down that hallway in a towel after a woman that is barefoot trying to escape. At one point I thought that maybe he was in the shower, so she felt comfortable trying to make a getaway while he's in the shower. Maybe he had to run out. Another theory was maybe this nigga was asleep. Something was happening in there where she felt.
She wrote it in her civil suit. Yeah. She wrote that he was sleeping.
She was sleeping.
And she took that opportunity to grab some things and run out the door. So, You know, like the strange thing is like the civil filing that she filed back in November. All of this is in there.
Yep.
It's all in there.
Yep.
It explains why the feds raided all his houses. It's all in there. Like after I watched that video, I was like, I got to go back and read this thing like with a fine tooth comb. And I decided to do that. And the shit it's vile.
Before all of that stuff for me, while important, was secondary. The first thing I'm thinking is, yo, dog, that's somebody's daughter. That's somebody's sister. That's somebody. People love this person. This is a tiny little beautiful girl. And for you to do this where you know there's cameras in a public setting, her response to it, where it was, the response told you that this has happened 20 million times. And in this moment, I think the best way to deal with this is to dead fish.
Yep.
I've dealt with worse. So let me just take this moment. Dog, you lying sack of shit.
You know the
And you tone deaf, and you so tone deaf, you on Instagram saying shit like time will tell the truth.
Trigger warning, this next segment has to do with domestic violence. If you or anyone that you know has been involved with domestic violence, please contact 800-799-7233.
No, but in all seriousness, over the weekend, when was this? Friday? The news came out, or the video came out?
Friday morning.
Friday morning, so we got a video came out. I think Rory sent it to the chat. Somebody sent it to the chat. Peach sent it to the chat. Sent the video to the chat. Video from 2016 came out from a Las Vegas hotel.
Los Angeles.
It was Los Angeles?
Yeah.
Okay, Los Angeles hotel. And it shows Diddy assaulting Cassie in a hotel hallway near the elevator. And
brutally abusing her.
And after that, obviously, the entire culture and media, everything, when we got some requests to do some late night show interviews over it, and it was just like everything just kind of just went up in flames. But we're here to talk about a few things. First, prayers to Cassie.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure as that video came out, she had to relive that moment. And obviously other moments came to mind as well. So prayers to Cassie, love and light to Cassie. Hopefully she's in a better place. Hopefully she's, found peace and joy and happiness and is healing from that trauma of having to deal with that.
Just filing the suit, I'm sure, was extremely difficult for her. I'm sure a lot of people that had not talked to her in a while hit her up when that suit came out to apologize and this and that. But then I'm sure there was a lot of people that didn't. Yeah. And then they saw this video on Friday. I'm sure her phone was ringing with a bunch of people that she didn't even care to hear for. Yeah. Your sorries aren't going to fix anything here. It's almost, I feel like, a selfish move for a lot of people that are now, that were in that circle, now like, yo, I want to go apologize to Cassie personally. Yeah. But she wants nothing to do with y'all.
Yeah, no. And it's unfortunate because when the lawsuit came out, when Cassie filed the lawsuit, a lot of people had a lot of things to say about Cassie. She's looking for a money grab. She's supposed to be married with kids. She moved on? Why is she lying about this? Why now? Why wait so many? It was just a whole bunch of things that people had to say about Cassie once her lawsuit was filed. So Friday was a day of, truth, a day of, remembrance for a lot of people, a lot of victims of domestic violence. But in particular, in this situation, it's very unique because this is coming from the hands of a guy. Let me speak for myself in this moment. A guy that I looked up to, a guy that I supported, and I feel like a sucker for that. Haven't had any hand in supporting and helping this person become the figure that they are in our culture. So let me say I take onus on me being a sucker for that.
But you didn't know, Ma. You can't be a sucker.
No, it's not about knowing. They're just now looking at it. It's like, okay, but I supported that. Not knowing all these years, but still I supported it. So it's like I didn't know, but now I know. So, it's a lot of things that come to mind because, if you are fortunate enough to get older and live through some moments, you start to realize a lot of these idols and these figures that you look up to are not worth it. A lot of false idols walking around. And Diddy is unequivocally, undeniably a false idol. It just is what it is. This is coming from a kid that stood online to buy No Way Out CD.
Mhm.
Saved my own money as a high schooler. I may have been high school, may have been 14 when that album came out, 14 and 15. So I, speaking from somebody that supported and looked up to and, used Diddy as the guy that I could point to and say, look, black men from my city, from my community, from the same streets that I grew up on, we can make it. We can become something. We can become something bigger than life. We can do great things. We can, represent black men in a light where we're not normally represented. We get a lot of stereotypes placed on us, and Diddy for so long was a guy that we could point to and say, here's a guy that beat all of those odds and beat all those stereotypes and, knocked down a lot of doors and created a lot of opportunities for the culture and for people and guys that look like myself coming from the city that I'm from. But Friday, all of that changed. For years, we've heard things. In the Cassie lawsuit, we heard things that was disturbing. I had personal phone calls from my position that we took when we first reported on that from guys that I respect and that I always listen to after all of that happened. And it was very interesting because there was a lot of we don't knows, we can't speak too soon, let things unfold and things like that, which is true. And sometimes what we do, Rory, is sometimes we speak prematurely because we're almost talking in real time some of the time. So I understood that. I was like, you know what? You're right. Maybe we have to let things unfold. But Friday was a day of there is nothing else to say about it. There's nothing else to debate about it. There's nothing else to question about it. Because while we saw that video, the one thing I found myself thinking about was what didn't we see?
If you're comfortable doing this in a public hotel lobby next to the elevator, what are you comfortable doing behind closed doors?
Right. So that was one of the first things I thought about. And I have sisters, I have nieces, I have a lot of female friends. And in that moment, I just thought about a lot of them. Like how many relatives and close women friends do I have that dealt with some shit like this and never told anybody? You start thinking about a lot. Like it's crazy what one video will do to your psyche and just your energy. And I started thinking about that. And like you said, Rory, if you can do that in front of cameras in a hallway and elevator, that's a certain ego that comes with that. That's a certain level of untouchable of regularity. That's regular. You do that like it was a lot of things that felt like a regular thing in that video. It almost felt like we were watching a movie, because you see shit like that in movies, like a movie scene where domestic violence happens and you're like, damn, like that was crazy. But to watch that and know that was real and that wasn't a movie, and the things that we didn't see, and just watching Cassie's, body language of not even trying to fight, kind of just laying there, like letting it happen, not wanting to fight back because, in fear of it escalating, going further, and you being hurt more severely than you already are. It fucked with me. And I'll be honest, like it really fucked with me and it bothered me because, again, here's somebody that, again, speaking for myself, that I held to such a high regard. And this was somebody that, I thought represented black men in a very positive, very strong, very confident way. But to see that, all of that gets negated. All of that is, you hit the delete button on all of that shit. Anything I ever supported, I don't support it no more. Anything I ever spoke about, any great things that I ever had to say about the music and the fashion and, all of that is negated. It's over for that. That type of energy, that type of violence towards women is it's disturbing because, again, what didn't we see?
And that's kind of to what Damaris was saying before. You didn't know, but still feel somewhat complicit in it just because of support. And
absolutely,
which we talked about when the Cassie case was filed. I think we were in London, whatever Patreon that was, and we were discussing like just being in the entertainment business alone makes you somewhat complicit. Yeah. Even if you don't know shit. Yeah. You're in a very sick world that is specific to harming a lot of women. Like it's, even if we don't know or not there, we know that this entertainment business is full of it, and we still work with people without vetting the way maybe we should. But when you see something like that, I feel like all of us, whether it be in media, and we're not attached to Diddy, but if we're just in the entertainment space in some degree away from that, I think the general public can look at us and say, how the fuck did y'all not know? He did that publicly in a hotel hallway. This wasn't footage. This wasn't footage from his master bedroom where just him and they don't know what he doing with his wife upstairs. If he felt so comfortable doing that there, you can't tell me there's a world where he didn't feel comfortable doing that type of behavior around his employees, around his friends, around his family, around anyone for the most part. That was a fucking hotel lobby. Anyone could have came up those elevators.
It's just
so he's fine with doing that shit in front of people. So holding all of our feet to the fire about it, I think, is a correct question.
Oh yeah.
What's up? He did this in public. Don't tell me y'all didn't see anything.
Yeah, but because I've been around people that have had domestic violence accusations on them. Now I've never seen it firsthand with my own eyes. I've never seen video of it. So, you always leave that space because that's such a thing where it's like, you always want to believe the woman, but unfortunately we've seen instances where women have lied about things like that. So it's a very thin line of support and a very thin line of, is this true or not?
Listen, two things can be true because we were maybe the only media outlet I felt like that was speaking up fully against Diddy when that shit was filed in November. But then the next episode, we also said when he got a million other cases, some of these could be probably fake. We're saying this Cassie one is not. But of course, there is the world where some women are just going to say anything for a money grab. But to discredit somebody that we know is forward facing, like this isn't Jane Doe or anything. This is straight up somebody we've known he's been with for God knows how long. That needs to be taken seriously. I'm not saying throw him under the jail without a conversation, but once that's filed, I was very much confident that Cassie was telling the truth in that.
Well, it was and I spoke to some lawyer friends, and when there was a settlement, and I said, isn't a settlement an admission of guilt to some degree? Because, and I said it, if, a woman puts any of that on my jacket, I'm not settling shit. If I know I didn't do nothing, I'll spend every dime I got fighting that case, because once that's on your jacket, it's on your jacket. It's like, yo, what was up with that case that you settled out of court? Like, where Shorty said you was, nah. So if you never did nothing of that nature, settling isn't an option. So when he settled, it was only fair to assume that he settled because some things in that lawsuit were true.
And the more investigation that they did, the more evidence would come. If that has to go to a civil trial, it's going to get
nasty.
You're going to look even crazier.
And I had some people say, well, don't you think Puff may have settled because, he got daughters, he got kids, and he don't want them to, hear what's in that case and what's in that lawsuit. It's kind of like just to make it go away. I said, maybe. But if he didn't do it and he's not guilty of any of that, it's important to fight that so your kids know that ain't the type of father that ain't the type of man your father is. So again, now that we have video footage and we having a, quote unquote apology, I'm sorry video from
sorry to who? When I was watching that.
And sorry for what?
Sorry to who and sorry for what?
And sorry for what?
Who are you apologizing to in this video?
Who are you apologizing to? What are you apologizing for? Your actions. Who are you sorry to? None of that was mentioned. But I think it's, we have our platform. I think we can assume a little bit. Sorry that the video got out. Sorry that we actually saw it. Sorry that, because there was a lot of...
And what are you apologizing to us for?
Right. And there was some posts on his page after, enough is enough. Time will tell the truth and all of these things.
This is lies. None of this shit.
Yeah. So now that we have this video, it's I'm truly sorry. And my actions are inexcusable.
I'm in therapy and went to rehab. All right. What happened with that shit
And that's
3
another
months
thing.
ago
And no
that you
disrespect
said-
to you, Rory, but that's another thing I'm tired of. I'm tired of the I go to therapy shit.
Oh,
I'm tired of that.
you don't need to apologize to me. The first thing I said when I watched that video to myself was, "Can you please leave God and therapy out of this?"
Yeah,
shit?
I'm kind of off that, and I know therapy is important, and I know God obviously is the most important, but you know, I'm also cool with, you know, being a man about the situation. And if you're gonna turn on your camera and you're gonna say anything after we see a video like that, I'm a piece of shit.
Another thing,
I ain't shit.
people aren't.
I fucked up. I don't even know what to say. You know, I'm sorry. Like, I hate that this shit got out. I was a piece of shit for you. Like, I want to hear words like that. Don't tell me therapy and all. I don't want to hear therapy.
But Ma, when all of this originally happened, when the lawsuit originally came out, and you kept saying, "We need to hear from Diddy. We need to hear from Diddy. We need to hear from
Absolutely.
Diddy," and I kept
But not
telling
that.
you, I kept telling you, Ma, you don't want to hear from Diddy. You like, I do want to hear, and I'm like, no, you don't, because
No, but
what he's gonna say is just going to piss you off.
No, but I do want to
more.
hear from him. I didn't want to hear that. That's what I'm saying. I want to hear from him, but I want to. It's, you know, be a man. Be a man.
But even if
Stand
you,
up the same way these guys get up there, because it's not, and let's be very clear, he's not the only one in our culture. He's not.
We know that.
He's the latest. He's not the only. So it's time for us to see, you know, taking accountability in a way we've never seen it before. You know, if you so sorry, then show us. Don't tell us. Show us that you're sorry.
but Ma, going, if he turned out, let's say he turned on his camera, he went up there and he said, "Yo, I fucked up. I'm a piece of shit. I'm an abuser. This, and that." What does that do?
Nothing. I still want to hear him say it though. It does nothing for me. There's nothing he can say or do that's gonna. I can never unsee that video. I can never unsee it.
Yeah.
I don't care what you try to sell me. I don't care what music you put. That shit gets no play in the ride.
I wasn't
All
on
of
the
that shit
side
is over with.
of needing to hear from him now, quite honestly. When Maul was saying that, I was in agreement because Puff had put out an obvious PR statement on IG. Now I gotta hear from, if you are innocent, I gotta hear from you. Like, I don't care. All right, there's no lawsuit. It's not like you can't talk about it. I don't even give a fuck about an NDA thing that you have, because you set all that up. In that settlement, there's no way you gave her that bread without doing an NDA. So you're putting an NDA on it and then giving me a blanket statement that all this shit is lies, even though I settled. Now I gotta hear from you, Puff. For real. If we gotta keep supporting you, I need to know, like, this is a misunderstanding.
Yeah.
That's when I need to hear from. Now, I don't need to hear shit from Sean fucking Combs.
Yeah.
Not a word. Like, what is he gonna say?
And
then after that, you're saying you were therapy and you were healed and you're working in rehab. You sent your son on a dummy mission last week to try to prove you're innocent. Pick a side. You're on the intro talking greasy like everyone's trying to attack you and you're this innocent victim. Talking greasy, and you sent your son on a dummy mission. Your son looks insane now.
Yeah.
Pick a side. Yo, everyone's trying to come out to, yo, it's the Combs. You sent your son on a dummy fucking mission. You're not healed. You're not in therapy. Therapy, if I knew I did that to a woman, I'm sending my son out there to go look like an idiot, to try to defend our honor, and I'm on the intro talking greasy about how innocent we are?
Yeah.
No.
And
I don't know. I don't want to hear about therapy, God,
Yeah, no, that therapy
TD
shit.
Jakes. I don't give a fuck who you're next to.
And to be honest, like, well, I already believed he did all the shit mentioned in the lawsuit anyway. But if this is true, I don't want to hear nobody else doubting nothing else that she said in that lawsuit.
Word.
For example, him keeping her drugged up and making her fuck sex workers, him taking her to dinner when she tried to break up with him and bursting into her house and raping her. All of that shit valid. All of that shit valid, because what she said in the lawsuit is exactly what happened in this video down to the T. She illustrated it.
And
in that lawsuit.
also the things in the lawsuit, it's almost hard to believe that somebody could lie and make that. That's not shit you can make up.
No.
Like, a lot of that shit was so detailed and so, like, such a unique way that it happened. It's kind of like, you can't be freestyling that. Either you went through that or somebody very close to you went through that and you just telling their story. But there's no way that this did not happen. This happened. Whatever she said, that shit happened, because that shit was so, it's like, who would even think to say that if that's not true? How does your brain even make that up? So, again, here's somebody that we placed as one of the kings of our culture. Undeniably, he was one of the kings of our culture.
And can we stop doing that too?
What's that?
I feel like we've learned our lesson with that. Like, enough has happened with these people that we place as the kings of our culture. we continually find out that Santa Claus is false over and over and over again. We can place their work on a pedestal. We need to stop placing people on a pedestal. We need to stop saying so-and-so would never, because motherfuckers is never in like they've never before. Like, we have to stop deifying these fucking human beings who are talented, because you can be a talented piece of shit.
Absolutely.
I mean, a lot of them are.
Yeah.
And it just, you're right. It just sucks that I also don't want to have the mind state of people that I looked up to. Like, they're probably an abuser.